Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, I'm covering CCC iDrive, 2 CIC iDrive retrofit on E9x models, and this should really include E6x models and E8x 1 series models, but this example is shown on BMW E91. So the car in question currently has CCC iDrive from factory, and I'm upgrading it to CIC iDrive. So what you'll need to do this upgrade is the CIC unit, the screen cable, the controller bracket, the center console trim for the CIC controller, a screen connector, and that's the part number for the screen connector. And in some cases, if your car, I think it's pre-2006, you will also need this fascia, because on, I think, pre-2006 cars, CIC iDrive had a little line through the middle and the fascia was different, where I think 2007 onwards, this fascia was the same on CCC as it is on CIC. And you will also need a USB cable and a USB port that goes into the glove box, which plugs into this beige connector here, which I don't actually have. It isn't a necessary part to make this retrofit work, but it is used to update the maps and back up your music from the hard drive storage on these CIC iDrives. So it's not essential to have it, but it's a nice to have. So if you are getting one, it's also nice to have the USB port and the USB lead to go with it that goes into the glove box. Just a point to be made about the CIC screens: they are completely different, and they require different connections, hence the connector, and they require this pink and purple lead. But they also have two different versions. So post 2009 version doesn't have this protective glass, and the screens are usually very scratched, and 2008 and 2009 versions have this protective screen. But not to worry, if your screen is the later one and it's in good condition and it doesn't have this protective cover, you can actually use the CCC fascia with this protective glass on your CIC screen. So you can actually transfer it across and protect your screen that way to stop it from getting damaged further or getting scratched in the odd occasion when somebody either touches it with a finger, or you wipe it down with something, or you leave your keys or your phone in the cavity where the screen is, which is quite a common occurrence really with these. Now let's get on to the fun part of the different versions of the CIC iDrive. So you have the business edition, which looks similar as far as the unit is concerned, but the screen is half the size and it's only a little screen in the middle. Not quite sure of the functionality. It's not one that I've ever used and not one that I'd ever want to use. And there's the Pro versions, and as far as the Pro versions are concerned, the screens are bigger for one, but there are also 3 different versions of the head unit on the Pro versions. So there's the basic one, which has your standard radio connections. There is a DAB one, which will have this mustard connector here. And usually the DAB ones will also have the green connector, which is for the TV option. And there is a DAB Plus. So DAB Plus was a very late model of CIC units that came on E90s. And the way to identify it is by the sticker on the part number. So if the head unit has the DAB port on the back and it has HW40 or HW31, that's how you can tell the DAB head unit is actually a DAB Plus head unit. So this here is a DAB Plus head unit, which will give you more radio stations here in UK, and the sound quality on DAB Plus radio stations is supposedly better than the standard DAB. So as far as this car is concerned, I'm quite lucky because it already has DAB, so the CCC already has DAB, so there is an aerial already in the car, and it's connected, so all I've got to do is plug the head unit in and it will work. But in the occasion of you not having DAB in the car already and you wanting to retrofit it like I did on my E90, you would need a diversity antenna if it's a coupe or a saloon that's DAB capable, or if it's an estate you will probably need to replace a rear window, because I believe the DAB aerial is in the rear right window. Let me show you what I mean. So these elements here, I believe, are for DAB aerial on the Touring. And last but not least, what you'll need is somebody to code this head unit before installation to your car. So I sent this one off to Bavarian Coding, who I've been using for coding for many years, and he's just exceptional. If you are in the UK and you have any BMW coding needs, he's your guy. Bavarian Coding on Facebook, look him up. He's the nicest and the most clued up person you'll ever find in terms of coding and retrofits on any BMW. So look him up. So I've sent it off to him, and for a very reasonable price, he coded the head unit to the car's VIN, and now it's ready to drop straight in. So let me set the phone up and show you how I'm going to swap it, and let's see the final result. So onto removing the iDrive, the trim and the screen. Let's start with the screen. It's a T10 Fox. If your car's a manual or manual, you could just pull the gear lever back and put it into third, for example. But this one's an auto, so you'll have to put it into drive in order to get the head unit out. So that's the old screen cable, which we no longer need, so I'd like to pull it out. There we are. And I now somehow need to thread this in. Screen side, head unit side. Right, so that should do it. Now on to repinning the connector. The pins that we need, pins that are going to be used, are 1, 3, 5 and 6. So 1 is red, 3 is brown, 5 is orange green and 6 is green. The connector itself has pin labels or pin marks on it. See 1 to 8. And the pins need to go in to 1, 3, 5 and 6. I'm going to use this pick to unpin the old connector. and it's always a good idea to do them one by one, because I'm not disconnecting the battery, so the car is still live and you don't want any of these wires to touch. So always do them one by one. So we'll start with the red orange, or the red cable, which is live. It's usually the ignition wire, and that goes onto our pin 1. Then brown onto pin 3. Then the CAN interface wires, so orange green, goes into pin 5. And finally the green goes into pin 6. And there you go, all done. Then you've got this little latch to lock all the pins in place, so make sure they're all the way in, and then lock it, and you should be good to go. So the head unit's connected. All I've got to do is connect the screen, check if it works, and then I can bolt everything together. And there you go, it's already on. I haven't even replaced the controller yet, but it seems to work. So it looks like you can use CCC controller with the CIC iDrive, but I'm going to do that later anyway. The connectors are exactly the same, so you can just swap the controllers across. So as you can see, it works fine. There's no DAB because the DAB aerial is not connected. I've got to figure that out. But yeah, everything is well. All seems to work. Now let's get this DAB sorted. So, as I suspected, the aerial is in this window here. Now it's the DAB aerial that's used for the UK radio stations, and the one that's used in Eastern Europe, which I think is called DAB-L or something like that. So this is DAB3, I believe, and the one in the shark fin is DAB whatever, but it's not used in the UK. So they both come into this device here, which looks like the DAB module on CCC iDrive cars. So on CICs, this module is built into the actual head unit, but on the CCC, it's a dedicated standalone module. So you've got one connection coming in from the antenna above, and the other one coming in from there, from the glass. They go into this twin connector and they plug into there. So I've unpinned the connector and removed the signal wires, and the radio signal gets processed in here, converted into sound, and sent via fiber optics to the head unit. So because the system is different, and this is part of the CIC unit on the new system, we no longer need this. So in our case, what we need to do is we need to connect these two aerials, or just the one coming in from the window, to there. So what you can do is you can get a 5 meter long FACRA antenna cable. It doesn't have to be a genuine BMW one, this one isn't, and you can connect it directly from the cable that's coming in from the glass to here and straight to the head unit, and obviously tug the wire away. It was enough for me to buy just this lead, but I actually went one step further and I bought this lead as well. So it's 2 into 1 basically, FACRA dual lead, going from, I think these are 2 male connectors going into a single female connector, and the 5 meter long one is a male to female connector. So the way to do it is like this: connect the 2 antenna cables into the double FACRA adapter, and then connect that directly into the mustard connector at the back of the CCC head unit. As for these wires here, the fiber optics loop, we need to close it and we need to remove this module from the loop. So what you could do is you could try and buy a terminator for this connector, but to do it in a nice and a neat way, you could just get to the junction where all the fiber optics are attached, which is these junctions here, and just remove this complete branch from the box. So input, output, find which ones they are, trace them down the branch, and remove them, and then you'll have an open loop. So I had this one and that one on the opposite pins because these 2 were connected. So this one was connected to there and this one was connected to there. So I then just pulled this fiber optics wire from pin 3 and moved it onto pin 4 to close the loop again, without the DAB module connected, and now everything works. So before I actually tried leaving this fiber optics loop attached and connected to the module, but it was sending conflicting information to the head unit, and even though I could see all the radio stations, the head unit was coming up with an error that there's no sound because it's looking for a sound signal from here, because the module was still connected. But now that the module is removed, everything works as it should. My new tool set.
Sort of sea slugs left us trail or something. I don't know.
Is it from some like ancient
Some war.
syrup?
You know?
Now just to put all this back together, let's go. And now finally, to replace the center trim. And done. So thanks for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if this is any good to you. If you have any questions or comments, drop me a message on the Facebook page or in the comments. I'll try and answer them as quickly as possible. So have a nice evening and all the best. See you in the next one.